And we're back with more exciting adventures and escapades and COVID adventures of the Incredible Hoax. I am Chris.
I am Mark.
We have not done one of these in a while, have we?
Now, it's been a while, that's for sure.
Well, since we last saw our fantastic audience, COVID hit. We had personal issues with Trish and her well-being. That's been a big stressor. COVID hit. You've had some issues to deal with here and there.
Oh yeah.
I'll let you talk about that only if you choose to. But here we are. But there's the segue into whether I don't know if my segue is very good or not or clumsy, but
we'll just go right into it.
Go right into. I'll set the subject up here. Along with COVID and us not being around, there's been other things not around that we generally talk about on The Incredible Hoax. Has there been a giant void in entertainment, Mark? There hasn't been anything in the movies. There hasn't been sports.
Yeah.
Streaming is really the only thing that's been putting a product out. It's been streaming.
Yeah.
And television and streaming. So what do you think about what's going on with our COVID entertainment drought? Do you have some thoughts where we're going, where we're at? Has it been a good thing? Do you see silver linings? What are your thoughts on the COVID entertainment tragedy of 2020?
Well, on one hand, I feel bad because growing up, going to the movies was, for the Star Wars generation, which we are.
Yeah.
Going to the movies was an event. It was a thing that we looked forward to. It was special. It was a special thing, and we had a special relationship with going to the movies.
Yeah.
That's just been a slow eroding over the last 25 years.
Right.
For different reasons. We've done shows on that. But I feel bad now because the last, I don't know, what is it, 2 years? I was late to the party on streaming. I was one of the last ones to get on that.
You were a holdout for some reason.
But there was different things.
Right.
But anyway, once once I went in for it, I really kind of I really have embraced it, and I've kind of gone the other way. That it's just I really enjoy streaming and the ability to go through the libraries and you can even, it's not just renting stuff. You can actually buy a movie or like in the case of Prime, Amazon Prime, there's a lot of like free content you can go look at as well.
Right.
So that's a nice feature. It just opened up a whole nother world. And now that we have this COVID and we can't go anywhere anyway, it kind of reinforces those things that we like about streaming. So it's certainly doing the experience of going to the movies no favors. So my takeaway is streaming is being kind of reinforced that established as really the norm. It's like the go-to in terms of the movies now is streaming. And there's new release movies that have been available to rent now for. I mean, it's more expensive. It's over $15, but still. What was that movie with Vin Diesel? Was it Bloodshot? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
And it was available for $18 first run.
Yeah, it was. I think it came out just as COVID shutdown started.
Yeah,
and then they moved it, and like some of the movies that were. Like Invisible Man was a big movie at the time, and that left theaters, and they moved it immediately to pay-per-view or whatever it's called. And then was it Trolls, the new Trolls cartoon movie, Trolls
World
2,
Tour,
World Tour.
Yeah,
that changed Universal's. I think it was Universal's mind so much that they said, "Hey, we're going to really look into this streaming first thing," because they made more money. Like within X number of days streaming than the original Trolls made in its entire theatrical U.S. run. So they're like, well, maybe there's something into the streaming thing.
Yeah.
You have long been singing the demise of the theater experience. I've been a little more hesitant. And I still think there's still a high value to the theater experience, even on the other side of this. But I do think it's taken a major shot. You know, it took a good one to the chin. It's I'm not sure it's down for the count, but it's down. It's down. Like TENET, they keep trying to like get TENET out there, and then now they just said the hell with it, and they were holding it indefinitely until we have a clear idea of what's going on.
Right.
You know, that's a major studio release, tentpole release.
Yeah.
What's funny now, one of the things I think is an unintentionally humorous aspect of this, you see how the marketing is pre-planned for a lot of the tie-ins, and they hit the shelves expecting the movie to be there, and there's no movie there.
Yeah.
So like Wonder Woman, there was like all kinds of like chips and things like that hit the shelves with Wonder Woman on it. Well, there was no movie. I forgot
about that. Yeah, there's no movie. Yeah.
Black Widow, there was a bunch of content hit the store shelves for Black Widow. There was no movie.
No movie.
Top Gun at Walmart, there's a series of toys for Top Gun. There's no movie. And like I've seen some specials on TV like, hey, Top Gun week for the special. I'm like, yeah, because that was all shot and planned for Top Gun's release.
Yeah.
And there's no movie, but they went ahead and ran the TV content, and they ran the Doritos bags, and they've done all this stuff anyway because it was already in the pipeline to run this stuff. So it's like, there's no movie to back up this marketing. It's really weird. It's weird.
Well, it just shows you how there is a plan and there is a structure to how all these things, and it's very corporate. It's been going around since the early 80s. These things have been, there's a model that's been followed, and now it's been absolutely interrupted.
Yeah.
For sure. And
the workflow is definitely interrupted.
Yeah. Going to the movies experience, for me, is just, over the last 5 years, has gotten less and less enjoyable because all those things. I mean, I'm kind of an introvert naturally anyway, but you go to the movies and you're trying to watch. You want to see the movie. You've paid your hard-earned dollars to watch this thing, and then you've got the couple behind you that won't shut up, and things like that, or the guy that's one or two rows ahead of you, and he won't get off his phone, and you're getting blinded by his cell phone for half the time. Things like that. Who needs that? At your home and on your streaming, you can watch. You can take a break when you want. Eat what you want. Eat what you want. I mean, it really, you can't compete with that. I think the charms of the theater. I mean, we think of like Broadway plays and the stage plays. They're still around. They still exist. But if movies aren't careful, they're gonna be relegated to that kind of lower existence. With the one caveat that this COVID thing may bring back a renaissance of drive-in theaters.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Well, another thing that's happening is because you do have smaller chains, or not chains really, independent theaters or whatnot. If you go to like Box Office Mojo, which by the way, side rabbit trail real quick, Box Office Mojo used to be an amazing site, but ever since Amazon / IMDb refashioned it, it sucks. Go back to the other. Box Office Mojo was amazing before they changed it. It sucks now. Anyway, Box Office Mojo still reports the numbers, and it's all these like really independent horror movies. So there might be this unintended consequence where independent gets another shot in the arm, because the Marvels and the Star Wars and the Disney and everything else has dominated the theaters so long that maybe they'll give a chance. Scorsese took a lot of criticism for his calling the Marvel movies not cinema but a circus ride or a amusement park ride.
Yeah.
And I understand the backlash to a point that, I mean, it's not fair. A lot of people like creativity into it and stuff, blah, blah, blah. But he did have the point that, I mean, the theaters will become where that's all you go see is movies that are just so large they need to have the big screen experience. And you won't get to see a smaller movie. I agree that could very well happen.
Yeah.
which is kind of sucks because some of the
it does.
The funnest movie experiences are with small movies. You know, it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, I know in the last 20 years, I mean, it's been 20 years, but 2 movies 20 years ago were very small movies, and I had enormous fun. So you'd like to think that there's a role for them still. Memento and Blair Witch Project. The theater I went to see Blair Witch Project literally was so packed, it literally had people sitting in the aisles, which even then I was amazed that that the theater let them do it because it's a fire hazard and all that. But no, they let them sit in the aisles. As the last time I've been in a theater that was that packed. It was Blair Witch Project. And of course, it was made for, what was it, $16,000, or it was a lot. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think streaming, I think, is going to. I think it's here to stay.
Definitely here to stay.
Safely. I was going to say that last year, 2019, may have been what's the apex, the high point of movies.
Yeah.
Because you think about all these franchises that made their final bow. You had of course Star Wars, Episode 9. You had the Avengers.
Yeah.
But you also had all these Disney remakes. And it was the big ones too. It was like, we're going to remake.
King.
It was Lion King. It was Aladdin. I mean, they were going for it. It was like all in the same year.
Dumbo.
Yeah, Dumbo. I mean, it was all these, and you're like, guys, you realize you're kind of blowing your wad.
Yeah.
You're not, where you're going to go next year? Kind of a thing. But who knew that all this was going to happen? But it does kind of feel like 2019 might be that year that we look back and go, well, that was your peak. That was your final hurrah. I could be wrong.
Well, I know that Hollywood is very, very fond of taking themselves too seriously. And they're very fond of attaching themselves to the ebbs and flows of politics and the culture and stuff like that. With 2020 being so tumultuous, I promise you, if next year is if there's some sort of a feel-good hit in 2021 that's, kind of people don't expect coming, say, some Scarlett Johansson rom-com ends up making $200 million.
Oh yeah.
Hollywood will grab that and say, "See, this was the elixir the soul needs, and Hollywood's back, and we're delivering that balm to ease the pain of the political strife and the social strife and everything else." When in reality, it's just they attach themselves to too much import. On the social climate. I mean, and the reason I say that is, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, people are doing out without sports and music. Well, not so much music. I take that back. Well, concerts. They're doing without concerts. They're doing without sports. They're doing without theaters. And you could make the argument that the explosion of upheaval could be somewhat because there's been no outlet. But a lot of people, probably more people than that, are finding they didn't need this stuff. And we're several months into this now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken up grilling as a hobby. And that kind of fills a lot of that void in some respects. Instead of like trying to watch the next big Netflix show or go to the movies, I'm watching grilling videos on YouTube to learn how to make the better steak. And I think I'm not the only one. I think a lot of people are doing some things like that. They're channeling interest into other things. So there might not be as big a comeback.
Well, one last thought I have on this is, you would actually be able to speak better on this. The gaming. The younger generation, certainly that generation of the Gen Xers, that certainly like that 45 and under crowd, they've grown up where gaming is a very big deal.
Oh yeah.
And I think with the millennials, and then the new generation coming up. What are they? Are they called Gen Z?
Well, it's millennial, Gen X, millennial, Xennial. I'm not sure if there's something below Xennial.
I don't know. But anyway, these younger generations from Gen X and down, 45 and down, they've grown up in a world where video gaming is very much a big deal, and that I think has continued. That has not been interrupted, and I've witnessed that has become such a big deal, more so than the Gen X period of us watching movies. All that's been replaced years ago, and so in many ways, the streaming and the movie argument to millennials and younger, it's almost a wasted argument because video games is even bigger than that, But
the Twitch started as a gaming streaming thing where people would play video games and stream themselves playing it, and then other people would watch you play the video games. Yeah. So there's kind of your answer right there. Now Twitch has grown past that a little bit,
right?
But that's at the core of what it was. It was like, hey, I'm gonna play video games. Watch you play video games. PewDiePie on YouTube was all about like playing games and stuff and watching him play games and stuff. So there's your answer right there. I mean, gaming is definitely
what a great marriage between gaming and social media is the idea that you not only do you play a game, but you will watch social media to watch someone else play a game.
Well, I have said this before. I'm not sure if I said that in Incredible Hosts or said it in a conversation. One of the things that social media has done is, it used to be before that you looked at Hollywood or TV or whatever as like that was the cream of the crop. So like the models you saw in magazines and on movies that's the prettiest, and then the musician you heard on the radio, that was the best guitarist or whatever, and then, and acting, these actors that made Hollywood were the best actors. But what happens with social media is you're finding out that there's pretty people that don't live in LA. There's absolutely stunningly gorgeous models that don't live in LA.
Yeah.
And all you gotta do is Instagram and find them. Yeah. They're all over the place in every state and every country and everything else. There's hot chicks everywhere. YouTube has showed us that there's really badass guitarists, not just in Nashville or LA or New York.
True.
Eric Clapton might not be the greatest guitarist. There might be some guy that lives in Tupelo, Mississippi that actually is better, but because of social media, now we can actually see it. So that cream of the crop idea that we used to have, that the people that made it has special, unique talent.
Yeah.
But come to find out, humanity is talent across the board, and social media is showing it. Those were just the people that moved to LA and got famous pre-social media. There are people just as talented or good-looking all over the place.
Yeah.
So that cream of the crop thing is no longer necessary. So you're going to see, and you already are seeing, a death of a celebrity. Because it doesn't matter about Will Smith. It doesn't matter about Brad Pitt. It doesn't matter about Jay-Z or Beyonce. It doesn't matter about Katy Perry or Taylor Swift. Because there's just as hot and talented as other people all around you.
Yeah.
And now they're visible with social media. And I'm happy that the death of celebrity is coming. I mean, that's the most annoying part. It's hard to be a movie fan and just to watch the movies because so many times the celebrities run it for you. Like, I don't want to know your political stances. Now it's like, I want to watch the movie, but now it's like, this guy is a jackass that pretty much disagrees with every philosophy, ethic I have.
Yeah.
Now that the movie's tainted. I just wanted to watch the movie, but now I know his personal beliefs, and he stands for everything I stand against. Now I don't want to watch it.
Right.
So I'm glad celebrity is getting eradicated to some degree.
There's almost a death of proximity. We're always talked in the past about these people that just happen to. I'm always annoyed by these Hollywood stories, and then they'll talk about their parents and what it was like to grow up in Hollywood, California. You're like, you were right there, and they were. And you're like, or Los Angeles. They're like, you're right there. I take much more out of stories where it's like, I was raised in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm like, ooh, okay. And you made it to all the way over to L.A. All right, you know. But when you're right there, I was right there in San Bernardino, where you're down the road from Hollywood.
So
Big deal.
You could go to auditions and go safely to the comfort of mom and dad's house.
Yeah.
Because you live there already, and we're already established.
You could take a week off from your factory job or working at KFC long enough to audition for this Spielberg movie, and maybe you'll get your break. And then sure enough,
not, he went back to work.
And he went back to work.
You're in the same town.
You know, and it was no big whatever. But if you live in frickin' Waco, Texas, and want to drive all the way to L.A., it's kind of an effort.
And I'm not saying you won't have famous people and you won't have celebrity, but the mystique, the bloom is off the rose. You know, these pretty people, these cream of the crop people are not as exceptional as they once were.
Right.
Because there's people just, like I said, just look at the whole idea of models and gorgeous, sexy models. I mean, just go to Instagram. There's all kinds of hot chicks that didn't go to L.A. Sure. They're all over Instagram.
Yeah.
And they live all over the world in all kinds of places. So I like the idea that the cream of the crop, and COVID destroying that even more.
Yeah.
Then there's a subject I don't even want to talk about too much because I'm not that well educated on it. But then you add the whole Epstein thing, which could possibly come up. We find out all these royals are all ensnared in some sort of vast human trafficking conspiracy. That's going to take the celebrity even further down. So I'm not sure where this ends, but the death of exceptionalism of celebrity is happening. That I think that's happening.
Yeah, it seems like the story unfolding is this kind of which I'm all for, the idea that these elites, these people that have kind of become the elite part of society, and them being brought down to earth. You know, I'm all for that. Because nobody should be higher than another. You know, everyone bleeds red. So some of that, I think, can have a purpose and for good, you know, in terms of bringing people down. And social media does give people the opportunity to, if you're a guitar player, for example, and you're in Melbourne, Australia. And someone sees you like, hey, that guy can really play. You know, now they have a way to get out there, and they don't just have to. Oh, I was fortunate. My parents lived in L.A., so I was just right there.
Yeah.
You know, so social media can work wonders in giving you an opportunity to get if you've got talent, to get out there. So I like that. I do like that. Yeah. That's been a cool thing of the last 10, 20 years.
I think you're going to see more and more and more and more and more of it. I think you're seeing more with TikTok and Twitch and all these different platforms. You're seeing regular folk becoming recognized for their talents. And
there's talent beyond the city limits of Los Angeles.
Well, see,
I can promise you that's true.
Well, I always find amusing is, you know, especially within our lifetime, and say everything, say, post 1900, you know, from the year 1900 forward, we're really big on saying, well, this is the best musician ever, this is the best singer ever, this is the you know, in sports, this is the best quarterback ever, this is the best, you know, whatever. Like, how do we know there wasn't some like caveman that like is actually that literally was the best baritone that ever existed?
Right.
But we don't know about him. Or maybe there was some like peasant in like the 1600s in Vienna that actually was the best quarterback ever, but because he couldn't.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't play.
We don't know.
We don't know. It's like, but what if, like, how do you know they're the best ever? I mean, Tom Brady's great. He's the GOAT. But what if, like, some, you know, cowboy in 1870 would have been the greatest quarterback ever?
Yeah. Well, and those things are fun to think about and interesting to think about. I think we do. I think it's okay to celebrate people's accomplishments. They actually got it done, and certainly like Brady, he actually,
well, yeah, I get that.
his
I get
accomplishments is why we look at him and say, why he's the GOAT. But for all we know, there's somebody that, as you say, could have lived as a Brazilian.
Yeah.
And although he was relegated to soccer, he might have been like the greatest linebacker we've ever seen. But we'll never know.
You never know.
We'll never know.
That's a fun thought. It's got nothing to do with COVID, but anyway, that's always a.
But yeah, I'm hip to it. That's fine.
I think. Well, you know, the with Charlie Chaplin and some of those silent film stars was a birth of this international celebrity type deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, before that in the 1800s, it was like oil barons were famous, or outlaws were famous, or war heroes were famous, and then Charlie Chaplin forward, you got like the artists became, because actors pre-silent film were always looked at as like prostitutes. I mean, literally, actors were looked at as like just shit. I mean, it was Chaplin forward. I mean, I'm sure there's more nuances to this than I'm getting it.
Yeah.
But like that's when that whole actor celebrity took place, and then with music recording, singers becoming famous became place. So it's like it's only 100-year-old concept, I guess is what I'm trying to say, of artist as celebrity. So we're still in a young century. That very well could be changing now. We might look at this 50 years later and go, yeah, COVID was when that celebrity paradigm shifted again. And, celebrity became something else. But, it was oil barons and outlaws, and then it became silent film actors, and it was actors and musicians, and now it's going to become social media stars or something.
Yeah. Well, right now, it's the only thing I could foresee being like these new stars is social media, because we're being asked to shelter in place as often as possible.
Right.
And since that's the case, it's a lot of people that are sitting at home and they've got access to the internet and a camera, and there you go.
Yeah.
So it seems to be the logical choice is that social media stars is where we are, at least right now, for the near future.
Well, I miss the movies. I miss the theater. I miss sports. I miss, I'm not happy that we're in this spot. I think that a shifting of celebrity is, that I support that. I like that idea, but, I still, other than that, there's not too much I'm fond of about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I'm not too happy with our current state. I'm tired of it. I'm ready for movies and football games.
Yeah, we're all kind of getting a national cabin fever to some degree. It's really tough because our leaders are basically saying the best they can. Be patient. Try to ride this out best we can. But it's tough. It's tough because we're all. All of us would like to take a weekend and go somewhere, because even if you go to another town, that town has the same problem.
Yeah, they have the same shutdown.
Same stuff. You can't even go to another country because it's a worldwide problem. You can't even go to another country, and you're still running into the same obstacles and complications. So, this is a unique time in our history for sure.
Well, ending on that feel-good note, for more optimism and uplifting, we want to make sure you always tune in to probably the two biggest celebrities you'll ever know, and that is the Incredible Hoax.
Yeah. Well, on the happiest note I can give is, remember, drive-through is our friend.
For sure. And learn to grill.
Thank you, drive-through. And learn to grill.
Learn to
grill.
That's a good one. Learn to grill. And speaking of that, I do.